together. It feels good when we belong.
Right, now we're going to make our Mache mountains. You should have had a little bag of flour like that. That's for your glue for the papier mâché. So what you need to do is you need to mix it with some water. So here I've started to mix it, and it will be quite thick and quite lumpy. So you need to mix it down a bit more, add a bit more water, do it gradually. So that's still probably a bit too thick. It needs to be like a thick glue. So this one I've got here, I think is about the right consistency, okay? So what you're going to do then is you have some newspaper. Rip your newspaper into little pieces. And you need something to form your mountain over. Now I've got just a plain plastic bowl. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip now this is very messy. Well, it is messy church after all, isn't it? Dip the newspaper into the glue solution and then wipe it along the side of your bowl, okay? You can use watered down PVA glue if you have any, okay? And then lay it over here, okay, and layer it up. You could put quite a few pieces of newspaper in here, okay. Mine could actually probably be watered down a little bit more. It is quite thick, my glue. And you're going to layer it up on there, okay, until it's fairly well covered. There we go. The other way you could do it is to put it over and then brush it on with your fingers, or even a paintbrush if you wanted, okay. Make sure that you wipe a lot of the glue off on there. As I say, if you get a lot on, why not just add your layers on like that, and it will soak through. And what you do is you keep layering that up, and you might have to have a little bit of patience with some of this. Now that's not something I'm very good at. I don't know about anybody else. And I'm making a terrible mess on my table. And then you have to let it dry in between layers. Now hopefully you've got plenty of paper in your packs, but if not, you could try, say, some tissue paper or different sorts of paper. It might pay to use a bowl or a plant pot that you're not too worried about using again in the future, okay? And we're thinking about that big mountain that Moses climbed to get these rules, and what it would have been like to have to go up there all on his own. Although later on he did take a friend with him. He did take Aaron with him as well. What was he thinking as he climbed up that mountain? What was the weather like? God had told him that he wanted to speak with him. What was he going to say? I wonder if you've ever thought that. Whether you've ever wondered if God's got something to say to you, or perhaps he has said something to you. What did Moses think as he walked back down the mountain carrying those heavy pieces of stone? What was going through his mind then, I wonder? Anyway, I'm actually finding it easier to put the paper on and then put the glue on top, okay? And you can continue to build this up until you've got a mountain. Now, when you've got it to the shape you want, because what you can do is you can build layers on top like this, and you can build it up to a point, because a lot of mountains have a point on top of them, don't they? So you could build all that up. Best to let it dry in between layers. So this might be a longer term project. You might not be able to do it all in one day, okay? You could paint it, or you could just leave it with the different colours of the newspaper, because mountains are all different colours, aren't they? Some of them have plants growing on them. Possibly Moses Mountain didn't, because it was in the wilderness, in the desert. So it would be lovely to see your mountains when they're finished. I saw a picture of one the other day that had made like a little cave. So maybe you could leave a little hole inside it, and then when it's finished, hopefully you'll be able to remove the bowl or the plant pot or whatever it is you've done it around from the inside, Sometimes you can just put a bit of baby oil over to make that easier before you start. I've not done that on this occasion, but you can make it like a little cave in the side of the mountain, and somebody put a little battery tea light in there. It'll look really good. So that's our Mache mountains. Very, very messy for Messy Church, but it'll remind us of sometimes some of the things we have to do are really difficult, and God understands that, and that's why he gives us these rules so that we can have the best life and others can have the best life, and he knows that it's not easy to follow them as well, and that's why Jesus came to show us what God's love is like, and why we have God's Holy Spirit as well to help us to live in the best way. Enjoy making your mountains, and we'd love to see what they look like.
Feels good when we're together. It feels good.